creature from the Black Lagoon. Um, which is a trilogy. Um, Honestly, I'd only ever seen the first two. So, now, I was surprised to see Bud Westmore did the makeup in the credits, because, his mummy makeup for the mummy that he worked on was kind of not great. So then I was reading trivia, and come to find out, he didn't design it. That's why this looked better. It was designed by a lady named Millicent Patrick, who I went and read about. She really should be more famous. Like, seems like she must have been cool. She also created the creature designs for It Came From Outer Space and This Island Earth. She also worked for a time for Disney Studios. Specifically, she worked on the Night at Bald Mountain section or segment of Fantasia. With the guy with the little dancing demons. As well as working on Dumbo and the Reluctant Dragon. All of these credits she is sadly uncredited for, or all of these movies. For this movie, it was credited as Bud Westmore because he was the department head, and it was kind of the tradition at the time that department heads took credit. But I still feel like it's kind of shady, like it's kind of along the lines of Edith Head, like, you didn't really do the work. You could still acknowledge that somebody else did the brunt of the work. Maybe be like, oh, without my guidance kind of thing, but at least say, like, oh, I didn't design it. It was actually my assistant. Isn't she cool? I hired her. Like, something like that. But no. I swear I will not trash talk Bud Westmore in every one of these videos. I will try. No promises, though. Anyways. So, the first movie was definitely the best. It was originally made in 3D. This actually includes the 3D for both the first two films, which were both made in 3D. So, if any of you guys watching have a 3D television, please invite me over, and we will have a movie party. Deal? Okay. I was lucky enough a few years ago to see the first one at the Joy Theater in Tigard, and it looked amazing. It had really cool depth of field, so it was like it was drawing you into its world, into the Black Lagoon, rather than like throwing stuff at you, kind of 3D. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Well, just to read from IMDb, while re-releases of this movie in theaters and on television have utilized the more recognizable red and blue glasses anaglyph form of 3D, this movie was originally released as a 3D entertainment in theaters using the polarized light method and using glasses with gray polarizing filters. This is more similar to modern 3D glasses. So when I did see it at the Joy Theater, we just had our modern 3D glasses, and it looked amazing because we were seeing it how it was meant to be seen originally, which was just such a treat. So there were two guys who played the creature. Basically, one was the land creature and one guy was the swimming creature. Guy named Riku Browning was the swimming one, and Ben Chapman was the walking one. So apparently they never met during the making of the film, because Browning's underwater scenes were filmed in Florida and Chapman's scenes were filmed in California. They didn't meet until they both attended a sci-fi convention in Florida 20 years later. It's just kind of funny. Just imagining, wait, you're the creature? You're the creature? Did we just become best friends? I'm imagining. I have no evidence of this. But yeah, I enjoy the first one. I'm not gonna pretend I don't. So the second one is Revenge of the Creature. And it actually has a small part played by Clint Eastwood. He plays a scientist in one scene. He's like a science assistant who's kind of ditzy. He's in one scene. He has maybe 5 lines. We were even like, wait, is that Clint Eastwood? He doesn't sound like himself, but there you go. It was his first movie. Also, apparently, in Back to the Future 3, there's a point when they're at the drive-in and there's a poster for this movie, and they're talking about that Clint Eastwood wouldn't dress like this. So it's kind of a funny in-joke. Anyways, the scientists in this movie decide to test the creature's intelligence by saying commands and zapping it with a cattle prod while they're in the same tank as it. So, couple of issues. I realized it was the 1950s, but I feel like that still would have raised some eyebrows, at least with the ASPCA. Like, you got this creature that, as far as you know, is the only example of its species, and you're just gonna zap it. Also, the whole, like, getting something to obey and intelligence aren't really the same thing. Also, of course, if you were to use a cattle prod in water, it would zap everything else in the water. And they were in the water. So. I do feel like if you watched the movie Shape of Water, they zap him a bunch of times with the cattle prod. I feel like this is, like, Guillermo del Toro definitely saw this movie probably multiple times, and I think that's a reference. Yeah, it's like, I know you guys are 1950s scientists, but come on. Come on. The third movie is The Creature Walks Among Us. There really aren't any characters in this movie that are likable. Like, the main lady in it, the first time we meet her, she's like, oh yeah, because they're on a scientific expedition, and she's like, oh, I just married into science. I don't care about science. And then, like, 2 scenes later, she's just shooting dolphins and sharks off the prow of the boat as they're at full speed. So it's just like, oh, cool, you're just leaving dead animals in the water. Are we supposed to care about you? Like, it's kind of that mentality throughout the whole film. Like, are you supposed to be likable? Because you're really not. Yeah. Funny thing, the guy in the creature suit is not only taller than the guy who previously played the creature, the land creature, I should say. He's also 6 inches taller than the swimming double. It's really noticeable. He's like this hulking guy. Yeah. It's not quite Andre the Giant, but it's big guy, big dude. And it's like, but he was skinny 2 scenes ago. Because also they reused some of the footage from the original movie and, like, some deleted scenes, because these were filmed fairly close together, so those deleted scenes didn't get lost. So a lot of it is still the Riku Browning from the first film when he's swimming underwater. Also, weird thing, I'm just kind of ranting about these movies. I did enjoy them, I swear. At one point in the movie, they catch the creature and they set it on fire. Well, like as they're catching it, they set it on fire, and it burns his gills off. And then they have to do a tracheotomy to allow him to breathe. So now he can't breathe. Oh, his gills like burn off. They're like, hey, they might grow back, but probably not. So now he has to like breathe through lungs. And then he got 3rd-degree burns, and so like when the scales come off, he has human-like skin underneath for some reason. I don't understand what they're getting at. Are they trying to say he's a relative of humans, even though he's like from the age of dinosaurs? None of it makes sense. Yeah, the third one was also not made in 3D. It was made standard because by that time the 3D fad of the 50s had died down. It comes in waves every now and then, as I'm sure some of you know. Honestly, the chauvinism in these movies has not aged well. For example, in the second film, there's a point in which the creature has kidnapped the girl, and this news reporter keeps saying, the pretty scientist, and like then her name. It's just like, dude, she's missing, and it sounds like you got her in your basement, because like who's like, oh, this pretty girl is missing. Like, that shouldn't be the emphasis. Just the missing part is the emphasis, my dude. One nice thing about these movies, I swear I do like them, is they kind of came out back to back. Like, the first one, Creature from the Black Lagoon, came out in 1954. And then you have Revenge of the Creature in 1955. And The Creature Walks Among Us in 1956. So, boop, boop, boop. And it just makes it feel more cohesive. On top of which, the first two had the same director. And then the third one had the same writer as the first movie. So, like, there's still some cohesiveness and, like, I don't know, similar vision that didn't seem to be there with The Mummy. Even if it makes some weird decisions, like that he had human skin. Human-like skin. Anyways, highly recommend the original one. Second one's pretty dang watchable. Third one, meh. If you got time, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Happy viewings. We'll see you later.